welcome to Inside Eastern Utah. Today we are here with the Keele family, and Sheila Keele was at the Route 91 Harvest Fest at the Jason Aldean concert when that horrible tragedy happened. And we've all heard in the media how awful it was and what happened and what a nightmare those 11 or so minutes were. Today we're going to talk about what Sheila's family was going through at home. So we're going to not focus so much on the event itself, but we're going to focus on a different aspect of it, and we're going to let Jeff and her son, their son, Cray, tell us a little bit about what they were going through at home. So Sheila, we know from other interviews that your phone was almost dead. You
Yes.
had like 2% left on your phone.
Yes.
So tell us from that, when you got out of the park and you knew you were okay and you were able to make...
I never did know I was
Okay,
okay.
okay.
So you contacted your family even before then, before things were in the clear. About what time was it when you called your husband?
About 20 minutes after the shooting started, I called him, yeah. It was, so, they said originally the shooting started at 10:08 p.m. When actually it started at 10:05 p.m.
Okay.
There were 2 rounds of gunshot. Well, there was this round of gunshots, and I heard those, and they said it was firecrackers. I wasn't convinced. Heard another round of shots, and that is now documented on another video. But anyway, so it was 10:08 when I started recording on my phone, and that's when we hit the ground when the automatic fire started. Was at 10:08.
Okay.
So between 10:08. I got out of the park, got to the Tropicana. You're still not so sure you're safe.
Right.
They wanted to put me in a convention room. I didn't want to be locked in a room.
Sure.
I wanted to be able to be running free whenever I needed to. So my friend and I had got separated. She did not get over the second guardrail because we were at the end of the runway of the stage, and there was the barricades on either side. And we got over the one set of barricades, and then I got over the second set. Well, she didn't get over the second set. So it was 10:18 Nevada time, so it would have been 11:18 here, that I tried to call her. And I got her voicemail. And that was always when I was down, hunched down, as the gunshots would go, and then as soon as they'd stop, I'd take off and start running.
Sure.
And then as I'd go down again, I'd start to try to text her, and I couldn't finish a text. And I'd put my phone on airplane mode to save, because it's searching for Wi-Fi. Yeah, all through there. So I was trying to save it. Got into the Tropicana, and that's when I was finally able to send her a text. That one was sent at 10:22. So I tried to call her at 10:18, texted her at 10:22, got in the Tropicana, realized I was on, because we'd gone in the back doors. It was like a service area more, I think, where delivery trucks go. Got up, and I was, I believe, on the walkway where the glass is on both sides. I'm like, oh, I'm not safe here. So I beelined it into where there was more people. Then they started yelling, run, run, there's another shooter, there's another shooter. So I ran out of the Tropicana, was between there and the Mandalay Bay, in a street. I think I told Jeff I was on Koval and Tropicana, or Koval, anyway, by myself, looking around, but I felt most safe there, and I called Jeff.
So before you got that phone call, Jeff, were you watching on, did you know anything about what had happened down there?
No, because actually it was still so fresh that even after she called me,
Media still wasn't reporting it.
yeah, no, she called me, and she still wasn't sure what had happened. She just said there was some sort of an attack and people had died around her, and that she barely made it out, and she only had one shoe, and she mentioned that her battery was low, like we've talked about. So I asked her how, if Lori was with her, and she said they'd gotten separated. So immediately my first panic was, oh my gosh, Sheila's alone and Lori's alone.
Yeah.
In a traumatic situation. And so that's when I told her, look, try to make your way back to your motel, but you've got to save your battery to get a hold of Lori. You guys have got to get together. They couldn't be alone down there. So after I got off the phone with her, it took a good 20 minutes, I'll bet you, before CNN or
You flip on the news
Fox
immediately, I'm
covering.
sure.
Yeah, I went down, told the kids, Mom's okay, but something's happened down there. I told her, don't try to call her. Don't post anything on social media. Let's just wait. And it took probably 20 minutes before any of the big media started covering it because it was so fresh.
So then you see the media, and then did you really panic?
Yeah, at that point, then I didn't dare call her back.
Sure.
Because nobody knew exactly what was going on even at that point. And I thought if they're on the ground, if there's some sort of an attacker on the ground, if she's in a hiding situation, I don't want to blow any cover, you know. And plus, I knew her battery was low, so that was the worst. We're all just waiting wide-eyed in front of the TV. Come on, call, call, you know. So.
Cray, what were you thinking at that time? Is when your dad told you?
Yeah. So he said she was okay and everything, and the only thing I could find anywhere was like a local Las Vegas news thing about it. They didn't have anyone on the ground, no audio or anything. It was just a helicopter, and the footage they showed was just people running. So, and it looked a lot worse than it kind of sounded. And he said, yeah, there's been an attack, but she's okay. So that kind of reversed in my brain that, you know, maybe she's not okay.
Yeah.
At the time, maybe she thought she was. And then CNN started reporting, and you heard there was multiple shooters here and there. And last we heard, I think she said she was at the Tropicana, and right after we heard that, they said there might be a shooter in the Tropicana, so we didn't know anything. And at first you think, yeah, she's okay, but you see everything happening in all the footage, and it makes it completely flip.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. You guys have 2 other children too that weren't able to be with us today.
Yeah, Cray has a twin sister. In fact, their birthday, 18th birthday, was on Friday while I was in Vegas.
Hi, Camlin.
And their older brother, Creed, turned 20 the day after, the day after I came back from Vegas on the 3rd. And so Creed had to work, and Camlin has cheer, so they weren't able to be here.
Okay. Were all 3 of your kids with you that evening, Jeff?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So. Luckily, we were all together, which made it, I think, a little bit easier to, at least we had each other to talk to, you know.
So walk us through what happened after, when did you guys finally get in touch again? What happened after you're seeing those reports on the news and seeing they were panicking? How much longer until you guys contacted?
It was 35 minutes because I called him again at 10:55, I believe. And actually, see, when I called him, I thought, you know what? I have got to let him know this has happened. It's going to start coming out on the news. And if he doesn't hear from me, he's going to wonder. Yeah. So that's why I called him. I said, you know what? There's been this attack. I'm not sure what's going on, but it's everywhere. And I said, and I need you to know I'm okay. It's going to start coming out on the news. And so anyway, actually, he didn't hear me say it, but while he and I were on the phone, my phone started beeping in. I looked down, and it was Lori. I had said to him, Lori's calling. He didn't hear that. I mean, in my elation, apparently, I'd hit transfer the call to answer Lori's before.
So you lost her.
So he lost me. The phone just went dead. So he didn't hear me say, it's Lori's calling. Anything, the phone just went dead.
Yeah.
I didn't know any of this again till I come back and we're rediscussing it. So, after Lori and I talked, she asked where I was, and I told her I'm over at the MGM now. And she says, well, I just barely got to the Tropicana, because she was actually at the venue until the shooting stopped.
Oh, wow.
She got pinned under other people.
Under people, and she just stayed there. So I said, well, I'm at the MGM. She says, well, I just got to the Tropicana, and there's all these sirens going off, and they're locking us down. I said, get out. Get out of there. We just ran out of there. There's a shooter in there. Oh my gosh, what am I gonna do, you know? I said, anyway, there were 4 more calls between her and I. From the time she called me when I was talking to him. Him and I were on the phone approximately 5 minutes. And it was about 20 minutes from the time she initially called, and then the 4 calls between us till she showed up and hooked up with me at the MGM. And then I called Jeff and let him know, Lori and I together were at the MGM. Well, then little did he know, all of a sudden, I mean, we'd been in there probably 10, 15 minutes, boom, here comes another crowd running. There's another shooter, there's another shooter. Wow. So we ran out of the MGM. And there we are in the streets, and I'm like, looking up at hotel rooms, looking everywhere. I did not feel safe anywhere, so I'm ducking behind cars. Lori's trying to reach our friends to come and get us, and I'm telling her, get over here, hide. I just didn't feel safe anywhere. And people, you guys here were hearing more than we even knew.
Right,
We were
you guys
in
just knew panic
total
and-
darkness. We had no idea that there was a shooter on the 32nd floor at Mandalay. I just knew we were getting run out of hotel to hotel. And then other people were saying, you can't get to your hotel, they're locking them all down. I'm like, and leaving us in the streets.
Yeah.
What are we supposed to do? You know?
So what did you end up doing? What was the point when finally you felt in a good place and you were able to tell your family, we're good, we're gonna settle down for the night and head back tomorrow? When did that point come?
2 hours later, when after we'd got picked up by the friend, and we'd actually left the MGM, walked down the street, and again, ducking in behind cars. I'm staying undercover as much as I can. I'd even gone as far as to take my wristband off, thinking whoever these shooters are targeting just the concert goers, right? So I looked at Lori, I said, take your wristband off. We're targets with these. So we took those off. And as we're moving down the sidewalk and parking lots and the streets between MGM and Hooters, that's where we ended up. And then we got to Hooters, and she's on the phone again with them. And then I went and I found a big old black lifted Chevy pickup in the parking lot. So I ran in between it, and there's another couple there. The guy there was in contact with somebody else. He kind of knew a lot. I think he may have been in law enforcement or something. He knew a lot of what was going on. And so we kind of hid out there. Well, then, of course, the street's blocked off. So Jim, that was coming to get us, couldn't get up the street. So he's walked down to here, and I still didn't feel safe, but we did. And then when we got down to the corner, there were police officers there. Still, again, till I got in his vehicle, I started to feel safe. And when I walked in their apartment, I was like, okay. And that was 2 hours later. And then I plugged my phone into a charger there, which they needed it back, but I had enough to post on Facebook. We made it here. We are safe. So that it got out to everybody. And I'm not sure when I called Jeff. I think I texted when Jim just picked us up or something.
When you were at Hooters waiting for him, you said he was on his way.
So certainly,
sorry.
yes, well, I was going to lead us into a break real quick. We're going to
Dang it.
come back in just a few minutes and talk about this a bit more. Obviously, a traumatic situation, and it didn't end when you left Vegas. There's still going to be some aftermath that you're going to be dealing with, and all the survivors and their families are dealing with. So we're going to talk about that here in a few minutes. Stay tuned. We're going to be back in just a couple on Inside Eastern Utah.